We interrupt our normal program. Normal broadcasting will now be discontinued for an indefinite period.
This station will continue to stay on the air throughout the alert period to bring you authentic information. Telephone service to your home may be cut off. If you can plug in your radio in the basement, take it with you. Use a portable radio set if you have one.
Hey there, hope you're all doing well. I've always been interested in ciphers, coded messages, and spycraft, so I thought it might be interesting to explore some low-tech communications methods and do a video about that. And I know this topic may not be very exciting for some of you, so I'm giving you advanced warning now so you can move on to something else in case this isn't your jam. But for those of you sticking around, let's jump in. So there have always been people and groups who have gone to great lengths to conceal their communications. And one of the oldest examples of that is the Caesar cipher, which is named after Julius Caesar, who used this cipher for personal communications. This particular cipher works by shifting three letters. So the letter A would become D when encrypting, and D would become A when decrypting. Another example of a cipher was during the Lewis and Clark expedition, where Thomas Jefferson used a cipher for his correspondence with Meriwether Lewis, which was derived from the Vigenère cipher. Hopefully, I'm not butchering that word too badly. And for its time, it was considered unbreakable. During the American Revolutionary War, ciphers and secret codes were often used, as well as the use of invisible ink. Both the American and British forces relied heavily on ciphers and covert communications to protect sensitive information and coordinate their efforts. Ciphers and codes were essential for ensuring that intercepted messages could not be easily understood. And a common method involved substituting letters with other letters or numbers, often using a key based on a well-known book, such as In-Text Dictionary, and the Culpeper spy ring, one of the most famous espionage networks, used a complex code book to encrypt their messages. Invisible ink was a crucial tool for covert communications. Agents would write messages between the lines of an innocent-looking letter using a special ink that became visible only when treated with heat or certain chemicals. This technique became known as sympathetic stain, and it was widely used by both sides. James Jay, the brother of American statesman John Jay, developed a popular formula for invisible ink. Messages were often hidden in everyday objects to avoid detection. For example, letters could be concealed inside hollowed-out quills or sewn into clothing. These methods allowed spies to transport information without arousing suspicion. The success of these techniques depended on well-organized spy networks. George Washington, for instance, established an extensive network of spies and informants. And these networks used a combination of live drops, dead drops, and coded signals to pass information securely. These types of espionage tactics were vital for gathering intelligence on enemy movements, plans, and capabilities, and they significantly contributed to the American war effort. Aside from ciphers used by Julius Caesar, Lewis and Clark, Thomas Jefferson, or the Patriots during the American Revolutionary War, another low-tech method of communication was the use of live drops and dead drops. I was recently reading this book titled Resistance to Tyranny, a primer by Joseph P. Martino, which is a guide on the principles and tactics of armed resistance against oppressive regimes. The book is intended to provide readers with knowledge and advice on various aspects of resistance movements. In Chapter 18, the use of both live drops and dead drops are mentioned as low-tech forms of communication. A live drop is a face-to-face exchange of information or items, and a dead drop is a secret location where two people can exchange information or items without meeting in person. Dead drops are another spycraft technique that allows for secure communication between agents and their handlers. Dead drops can be used to pass small items like money, secret objects, instructions, microfilm, audio tapes, documents, cryptographic key tables, and frequency lists. One of the ways to alert participants in this type of communication network that an item or message is ready for retrieval from a dead drop location is through a previously agreed upon signal to indicate that a drop has been made. The signal may or may not be located close to the dead drop itself. Dead drops can also be electronic devices that collect information from an agent and deliver to a handler. One of the more recent examples of the use of dead drops was when former FBI agent named Robert Hassan spied on behalf of the Russians, and he would leave messages under a bridge in Vienna, Virginia. So, Robert Hansen became one of the most damaging spies in U.S. history. He joined the FBI in 1976. However, he began spying for Soviet and Russian intelligence services in 1979. And he continued his espionage activities intermittently until his arrest in 2001. He used various methods such as encrypted communications and dead drops to pass classified information to the KGB. He compromised numerous U.S. intelligence operations, revealing details about U.S. strategies, military technologies, as well as counterintelligence programs. These actions led to the execution of several KGB agents working for the U.S. and also exposed a multi-million-dollar eavesdropping plot by the FBI to build a tunnel under the Soviet embassy, which was called Operation Monopoly. Hassan was arrested on February 18th, 2001, after leaving a package of classified materials at a dead drop location. He was charged with espionage and, to avoid the death penalty, pleaded guilty to 14 counts of espionage and 1 count of conspiracy to commit espionage. He was sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole and was incarcerated until his death on June 5th, 2023.
Those who knew Robert Hansen through contact or research described him as a complex man who was motivated by, among other things, a feeling that he was underappreciated by his employer, the FBI. Here at the Spy Museum, the exhibit on Hansen includes a plaque he received from the FBI, commending his work. They were doing their own counter-espionage, putting him at ease, but they were watching him. They watched from a home they rented in his neighborhood near a park where he would leave documents and information for his Soviet handlers.
The FBI team was awaiting him as he walked out of the park and back toward his house.
Hansen was tried and convicted of espionage charges in 2001, and he got 15 life sentences. And today he was found unresponsive in his cell in a maximum security prison in Colorado.
Back on October 2nd, I did a podcast episode about the Troubles, which was a 30-year conflict in Ireland that lasted from the 1960s to 1998. And one of the resistance organizations during the Troubles was the Irish Republican Army. And the IRA used a variety of espionage techniques as well, including live drops, dead drops, and other covert communication methods to maintain secrecy and avoid detection by the British security forces. In this case, live drops involve direct exchanges between IRA operatives, and these could take place in public locations where two individuals would meet briefly to exchange information or items. For example, one person might leave a briefcase or envelope on a park bench, and another would pick it up shortly after. This method required precise timing and coordination to avoid arousing suspicion. Dead drops allowed for the transfer of materials without the need for a face-to-face meeting. and an operative would leave a package in a prearranged concealed location, such as under a loose brick or inside a hollow tree. The recipient would then retrieve the package at a later time. This method minimized the risk of IRA operatives being seen together. The IRA also used various forms of covert communications to relay messages. This included encrypted messages, coded language, and the use of everyday items to conceal information. For instance, messages could be hidden inside seemingly innocuous objects like books or household items. Additionally, signals indicating the presence of a dead drop could be as simple as a chalk mark on a wall or a specific arrangement of objects in a window. These methods were crucial for the IRA's operational security, allowing them to coordinate activities and share intelligence while minimizing the risk of interception by authorities. Anyway, I thought that was just an interesting brief look at how certain groups and organizations use these types of low-tech methods to pass information to one another. And I have no doubts that things like live drops and dead drops are still in use today. But that's all I've got for this episode, and I hope you enjoyed this topic, and thanks for watching.